A few weeks ago, I was interviewed for a web summit, and I shared a lot about fear and what holds you back and how we're the creators of everything we experience, and shared a little bit about my dream of taking my clients into space someday, not too far in the future, in the not so distant future. I had a blast. I was really just speaking from the heart and really being myself. And not too long after the summit, a man emailed me and said that it's not often that that he finds that somebody's able to push him, and because he's pretty fearless. But he watched my interview and he really thought that I was that person. And so he shared with me a little bit about what he wanted to create, and he said he was curious to get my perspective and help him see how he could work through some of the obstacles that were in his way to creating what he wanted. And I responded to him that I would love to speak to him, but that I wasn't interested in actually speaking to him about the obstacles that were in the way of creating what he wanted. And let me share with you why. I don't know if you know this, but the literal translation of the word abracadabra is I create as I speak. It's like those magicians were onto something so much bigger than just the trick that they were performing on stage. I create as I speak. It means your words that you use create your world. And it really happens in 5 steps. When I say this to my clients, they're always a little bit confused. What do you mean your words create your world? Your words literally create the world that you live in, your world. And it works like this. So you've got 5 steps to your words creating your world. The first is that you have some programming, right? There's some beliefs that you picked up along the way. It's like everybody walking around is a little Windows computer, and we're all programmed with like whatever programming was available at the time that our computers were made. Now, when the computer itself was actually crafted, there were no beliefs, there was no programming. But along the way, as we went through life, we started to pick up on little subtle cues. When I'm super loud and, outgoing, it gets me a lot of attention. So I learned that when I'm loud and outgoing, I get attention. So I start to be more loud and more outgoing because that's where I perceive love. If I am, super like opinionated as a child and I start telling everybody what I think, and my mom and my teachers all start telling me to not say anything unless I have anything nice to say, well, then I begin to just not say anything because I don't know if my opinions are really nice or not. And we literally take these cues from our environment as literal rules of being. And so these start to build in our subconscious like programming. Like, okay, when I'm loud and friendly, I get attention. When I'm opinionated, I don't. So I'm just going to hold my voice in and my truth and just be, friendly and agreeable. And so then later we grow up and we believe that like if I want to fit in or if I want to experience like friendships and promotions, then I just have to be agreeable and I can't ever speak my truth. So these are some of the ways that these programming evolve. We're maybe not even conscious of that programming. In fact, most of us aren't, unless you're doing a lot of self-help work or I don't even like to call it self-help, but like self-improvement, self-empowerment, growth, personal growth work. That's it, personal growth work. You're working with a coach or you do a lot of journaling. It's likely that you're not even aware of what the subconscious programming is. But what you are likely aware of are the thoughts that you experience. So the second part of this is the thoughts that you experience. Now, a lot of these thoughts come from your programming, from these subconscious beliefs that you're experiencing day to day. Those beliefs act like a filter to filter all of the experiences that you're having on a day-to-day basis. So you might, have a conversation in a meeting and you don't speak up because you perceive everybody in the room as only wanting to hear something if you agree. But really, that's part of your programming, that it's only okay to speak out when you agree. So that's where some of your thoughts come from. Some of your thoughts come from the experiences that you're having in life. Maybe somebody cuts you off on the street or yells at you outside of your window, and that triggers some thoughts. Some of your thoughts come from memories about the past. You're walking down a street and you remember being there with an old friend or an old boyfriend, and that triggers some thoughts. Some are coming from fears about the future or thoughts about the future. And some of them are just totally random, like when I tell you what I want, what I really, really want, it just pops in your head randomly, you're welcome. And you just like don't know where those thoughts come from. So thoughts are a mixture of both triggered and random. But the important part is not where your thoughts come from, it's what you do with them and how you experience them. So when you have a thought, you always also have an emotion, sensation, or feeling in your body with them. Now, some of these are really strong, like fear, anxiety, worry, dread, money fears. You can feel that in your chest. Some of them are less or more subtle, so you may not even be noticing that you have them. Another big one is relief, like, oh, that sigh of relief. You can feel it in your body. This is really important because we think we make decisions based on what we think, but we actually make decisions based on how we feel. If you're not present to the way your thoughts are making you feel, then you're in trouble, because you are either, the last piece of this is that your actions or your inactions, lack of action, come from the feelings generated by your thoughts. So your actions are directly responsible for creating the world that you live in. Are you speaking out in your meeting or are you not? Are you going for the promotion or are you not? Are you, leaning boldly into your edge and creating what you want in the world? Are you playing it safe because you really don't know how to do the thing you want to do? So when I say your words create your world, what I really mean are your words, the thoughts you use in your head, create feelings and sensations in your body that either stimulate or restrict action based on how you feel, and those actions create your world. So if you want to change the way that you're thinking about change the way that what you're experiencing in your world, then all you have to do is change the way you react to your thoughts, or change your thoughts themselves. So earlier in the video, when I shared with you about the guy who reached out to me asking me if we could talk about my perspective on the problems and obstacles that he's facing to create what he wants in the world, and I told him, I'm not interested in talking to you about your problems and your obstacles. What I told him was that I'm interested in talking about the opportunities that you don't see hidden in those obstacles and problems. I said, the words we use create your world. So when you're telling me about your problems and your obstacles, you think you're describing them, but you're actually creating them. Because if you use a word like opportunity, it's cheesy as it sounds, it changes the way you feel in your body. So the way that I dig into problems, if they're problems, is really different than if I experience them and think about them as opportunities. So try this on. Take a look at what you're experiencing in your life and what you're not experiencing that you want to be. And pay attention to how you're creating that based on the words that you're using to describe them to yourself, to describe them to other people. Pay attention to this for a day, for an hour. It will blow your mind how you see yourself directly creating the experiences you're having by the way that you're talking about them or not talking about them. Pay attention to where you're really in action and creating powerfully in your life, and where you're just completely stalling out on something you keep telling yourself over and over and over that you want to do, but you just won't get started. What are the words that you're using to describe those experiences in your mind and out loud? And what are the feelings that come up as you think about the words that you're using? I bet you're going to find some pretty incredible stuff. All right, guys, share with me below. Send this video to a friend. Reach out to me by email or in the comments below and share with me the words that you're using and the words you'd like to use instead. And if you'd like to use words as a really powerful way to create a different experience with you, then reach out to me and ask for a conversation and watch what we can transform in an hour or two with just words. Bye.